Ayman recuerden este nombre ahora que tanto se habla en el mundo de la primavera árabe y que se ha repetido una y otra vez en Naciones Unidas. Un joven periodista egipcio, tiene tan solo 32 años y que fue elegido nada menos que por la revista Time entre las 100 personas más influyentes del mundo en 2011. Los sucesos de la Plaza Tahrir lo tienen como un representante máximo. Se destacó por ser la voz de la revolución egipcia y predecir el fin de la presidencia de Hosni Mubarak, hoy enjuiciado. Vino a nuestro país para recibir el premio Perfil a la libertad de expresión y tuvimos el lujo de entrevistar.
I think in very simple terms, it's a new beginning. And for the first time in a very long time, the people in the Arab world are full of optimism because for decades, they have been suffering from all kinds of economic, social, political problems. And people really didn't have a sense of belonging or partnership in their own country, in their own destiny, in their own future. And I think with all of these revolutions, what you're seeing is people reclaiming their power, reclaiming their voice, and wanting to be a part of their own destiny and a part of their own future. So this is what's really fundamentally changing in the Middle East, is the relationship between the citizens and the state. I think for 30 years, particularly in the case of Egypt, the Mubarak regime was really lying to the world that there was peace between Egyptians and Israelis. It was peace between the leader of Egypt with the leadership of Israel. And I think this was for obviously strategic interests, but there was never a real genuine peace between the people. People didn't sell the peace to one another. And so I think now there's a real genuine opportunity to build a new peace, one that's built on social justice for the two sides, one that's built on mutual understanding and respect, not just one that's a sheet of paper, not just some document that's signed that says we have peace.
Let me tell you that I'm not completely sure that the Israeli government can understand really this new panorama in the Arab world. What do you think about it?
I think there's a great deal of criticism directed towards the Israeli government right now in the Arab world and beyond, that they are not understanding the changes that are happening. What we're seeing in the Middle East is a true paradigm shift. The very nature of the Arab world is changing, and so it's going to require new ideas and new solutions to solve old problems. And right now, for a long time, obviously the state of Israel put its security above the issues of values in the Arab world. Certainly Israel was more interested in securing itself than the values of human rights and democracy in the Arab world. So they would do business with somebody like Mubarak, they will do some business with somebody like the King of Jordan at the expense of the Arab citizens of those countries. And now this is changing, and that's going to change the relationship between Israel and Egypt.
Do you think that NTC could rule the country, especially without the capture of Muammar Gaddafi?
No, I don't think that their task should be to rule the country. I think the National Transitional Council is what its name implies. It should be the government that's going to transition Libya to the next phase. I don't think people should have too many expectations from the National Transitional Council. It's not democratically elected. They are not a populist government. In essence, they formed themselves and were recognized by the world. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing for the interim period, but at some point, the National Transitional Council has to go back to the Libyan people to receive a mandate, to receive consensus how to govern. And I'm one of the believers that information and technology played a tremendous role in these revolutions, because not that the revolutions were information revolutions, but these were revolutions empowered by information. People were able to connect, they were able to share their stories, they were able to organize, and most importantly, with the help of information, they were able to break the fear factor. What happened in Tunisia inspired people in Egypt, and what happened in Egypt inspired people in Yemen and Syria and Libya.
In some way in London too. It was completely different in the other part of the world.
Even in protests in the United States, in Wisconsin, after the Egyptian Revolution, I saw people with posters that say, "Walk like an Egyptian." So it's inspiring to people when they can see these images and we can connect with people, and I think this is why information was such a huge catalyst in this revolution.
Cambiamos de tema para hablar de un día